Hey, Sunrise. Okay, so this has been a great week. We've been able to open more than 20 restaurants, dining rooms. We are seeing some great results in Tennessee and Utah, and Texas is a kind of a mixed result. Some great, some are a little tougher, and it's partially just mainly because we can only open 25%. So I think in a couple weeks it's going to be a lot better situation there. We're planning to open another, I think, dozen stores or 15 this next week. And we're not only just opening dining rooms, we're opening closed stores. So we want to open these as quickly as we can, wherever we're allowed. So this is great. It's a great feeling. Just a few weeks ago, we were in a situation where we had a lot of restaurants actually 100% closed, and anyone else we were delivery takeout. That was a week ago. And this has been a tough situation to know what the timing is going to be and how long it's going to last. We still don't completely know. But I'll tell you, when that all happened, I thought, well, let's focus on what we can control, because we can't control the government and the situation that's going on. So we started focusing on guest check average, and we had our competitions for a couple of weeks, and then we focused on selling shakes. And I'll tell you, the results have been amazing. We started out the week before we started our Battle of the Bata. We were, compared to that week prior, for an average full week guest check average, we were down $1.18 from last year. It's a huge drop. And now fast forward to this last week, we were only down 51 cents. We increased 7% sales just from focusing on our Bata and I'm just selling shakes. And the shakes were for fun, but it was I had no idea that you could sell 36% of your guests shakes in a day. And a couple of stores did that on a couple of days, and I just thought that was amazing. And so I want to share with you a little quote and then a story and tie this all back in. There's a man named Arthur C. Clarke, and he was alive earlier this last century in the 1900s. And he was a scientist and an inventor. And I was listening to Elon Musk, and he mentioned that this man's the things that he studied and whatever were inspirations for him. And so I looked him up, and I thought something he said was interesting. He said, when a distinguished but elderly scientist states that something is possible, he is almost certainly right. When he states that something is impossible, he is very probably wrong. And so I think that's kind of funny, because it's kind of a funny way to say that, look, he's saying a scientist, but if someone who's knowledgeable, let's say, says something is right, they're probably right. Or something's possible, they're probably right. And if they say it's impossible, they're probably wrong. In other words, someone probably hasn't figured out how to do it yet. It doesn't mean that it can't be done. It means that someone hasn't figured it out yet. And that's what we see in technology and things that are going on. Well, a couple years ago, I had a business, and I had a partner that he was not the right person. I didn't want to be involved with this person anymore. And so I paid him a lot of money to leave the business. And his requirements were he couldn't compete with me, and he was not allowed to take any employees. He signed legal agreements to do that. Well, the day after he left the company, all my employees quit, surprisingly, and I had zero sales. Zero for 2 weeks. And my business did about the same revenue, about as one of our Denny's, maybe $1.5 million. And so imagine that. I had no employees and zero sales for the first 2 weeks after that. So what do? I'm sitting here going, wow, I don't know if it's possible to come back from this, right? Well, that doesn't mean, just because maybe it has or hasn't been done, doesn't mean that I can't do that. So I said, what's the next step? And I put on a company shirt, and I went out and started hiring new employees. I didn't get any of them back. I hired new employees, and I started getting sales. And I had been not far away from selling that business, but I had to rebuild it from scratch. And it took a few months, but I'll tell you, I got it rebuilt in a few months. And I was then able to sell it successfully for a great price. And, that's the short version. But point is, when we get in a situation that looks very difficult or almost impossible, it just means we have to figure out maybe a new way of doing things. And I've been so just excited about how you've all stepped up over the past few weeks to say, well, what can we control? This is what we can control. And you've made huge progress. And so I want you to take that into this next phase, because now that we're opening restaurants, the next focus right now is sales. We've got to get sales. And the goal is initially, and it's not the end goal, initially just to get to at least 65% of last year. So when we're only down by 35%. We've been down 70 to 80%. Now when we're opening, we're seeing restaurants opening day one at minus 50%. We want to get that down to minus 35 as soon as possible. But what I think is going to be amazing is if we can do something that we thought before in the restaurant industry was impossible, and that is to run more efficient restaurants in a better way. And I truly believe that if each of us takes what we've learned over the last few weeks and the accomplishments we've been able to make, and we apply that to these next phases, and every week we're saying, okay, what's the next big thing? We changed it, right? We went from bata to just shakes, and you guys turned on a dime and you started moving that direction. Well, if you can identify the next thing for your restaurant and focus on that, I know you can do it, because I've seen some amazing things out of different restaurants too. It wasn't just one. As a group, you all moved the needle. And so as we move into this next phase, please stay focused on that, what you need to do next, and put whatever energy you need to get that. Last thing I want to mention is, starting next week, we're going to start to mix this up a little bit. It's not just going to be me doing a short video like this. I'm going to have Elena and Shanna involved, and the three of us are going to be thoughtful about what we think could potentially help you going forward as well. We may be coming up with some additional training videos that are longer. Won't be on this, but just we still want to share a message each week that'll be relevant to what's going on in the business, relevant to running great businesses. And then also, like I say, we'll probably be coming up with also some other training that we can have to assist you, to help you all to build your business in a great, powerful way, that we can do things that maybe we haven't done before. And I'm really excited about it, and I'm really excited about our future and for the rest of this year. Stay positive. We got this. Talk to you soon.